Don't worry, take a drink. I'm gonna cut the beginning part. My guest today is Kristin Sitek. She is a functional diagnostic nutritionist and an integrative nutritional health coach and a Reiki practitioner. And today we're going to talk about all of that and more. And Kristin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely grateful and definitely love what you're doing. The place I usually start is just tell us a bit more about yourself and how did you end up in this space?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. So I am a former nationally ranked salesperson turned holistic health practitioner and Reiki master. I spent 14 years in the corporate landscape where it was a pressure cooker environment. So to say I worked 80-hour work weeks would be an understatement in some cases. Um, I know firsthand what it's like to not only experience burnout, but be burnout, the type of burnout where you wake up with aches in your bones. I remember waking up at 27 with like tears in my eyes because I couldn't fathom going to work again. Not only going to work, but being expected to perform at the level I was performing because in a sales environment, it's not good enough to just be the best. You have to break records every year to be considered relevant. Um, so I did that for a number of years, and my last stop was at a company where I was working on some globally recognized clients, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. There was no fire left in my stomach. I just didn't love the work that I did. And so I sought out to look for companies. I'm like, where would I be aligned? Where would I fit? And I just couldn't find it. And so I sought out to build that. And in doing so, I landed at IAM, which is a holistic health coaching certification, where I learned a broad range of things on how to get your health back online kind of holistically. But I always knew there was more because in my journey, eating right, moving my body just simply wasn't enough. And so I really wanted to understand the functional lab pieces and the supplements to really get the heart of what's at the imbalances, because of course stress was the main thing or a main driver, but there were some deeper imbalances going on. So I went down that path and I was eager. I implemented all the things. I got my nutrition back online. I was sleeping, I was exercising, I was reducing my stress. And ultimately I quit my job, but my cortisol was still sky high. And so with that, cortisol's job is to kind of protect us. And so I had this tire around my waist, this can't sleep at night, tired but wired. And I just said, what am I missing? And I was fortunate enough to stumble upon energy healing. And with that, that was the secret sauce. That was what took me from 80% getting better to 100% to not having like this inability to regulate emotions, not having this, I can't get out of bed. I don't want to function anymore. Because there was really one turning point where I just kind of like lost my mind and I was like, I don't want to feel this way ever again. And that was the key. It was, I don't want to feel this way anymore. And so I got really connected with how I wanted to feel. And now that's what I help my clients with is how we radically transform your health in a meaningful way that embodies body, mind, and spirit, because neglecting any one of those is a disservice to all. So my work really does seek to have an integrative approach where I'm looking at the whole person in front of me, not just the nutrition, not just the supplements, not just the labs, but what's going on in your energy field too. What are you thinking? What are you breathing? All those things.
Yeah. Oh, that's some story. So when I'm listening to that, I'm thinking like Satori is like an aha moment, just like I know this is not for me, or something happens and you figure out the plan. And then Kensho is more like it's slow burn. And it sounds like you kind of have both, but you didn't know the Kensho was happening. And then all of a sudden the Satori comes in.
It was interesting because looking back, I would have told you that I had an absolute hurricane going on because at the time where this all transformed is I had a leader in my role that was a very significant mentor to me up and leave. Then I had to end my relationship. I relocated. I quit a job, started a new job, and the new job was so strategic. It was like I wasn't going to have to be this number one nationally ranked person. I was going to go fly under the radar. 8 out of 9, 8 out of 9 people were fired in 6 months. And so when I share this, it's almost unbelievable because like, how could that all happen? But now on the other side, I'm like, no, this didn't all happen to me. I wasn't a victim of my life. This was all happening for me. And once I wrapped my head around that, I then became aware that no, life can flow through me if I allow it. And so that's really where I sink into, okay, like what is the higher perspective here? Always zooming out and looking at different threads, right? Because that's our health. It's not just how you breathe, it's not just how you move, it's a little bit of everything. And balance isn't 100% perfect, but again, zooming out to see, okay, what can I do now? What can I do today to honor my intuition? What can I do today to honor my body? What thoughts can I think that are going to nourish me in a meaningful way? And that's really what that journey taught me, and that's what I'm here to help other people do.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Just something as simple as I don't want to feel like this anymore, or this is what I want. And you're sending out that intention. There's energy behind
Mhm.
it. The universe will respond. And for you, it's like everyone, well, not just for you, and my story is the same, and lots of stories where you have that thought, I want this to change. I don't like it. I wish it was different. And then it takes time for the universe to move pieces around. And it sounds like there was a bunch of yours. That part where you said about 8 out of 9 got fired in 6. That's
So
crazy.
crazy, right?
Who wants to be in that environment?
Well, again, looking back, it was like the biggest favor because ultimately in my head, I was being strategic, right? Like I was going to have, while I was getting these certifications, I was going to have a meaningful like income to keep me afloat. And the universe is just reminding me that you don't need that. You actually can go out and do this and do it exceptionally well if you focus on it. And so anytime where I have people either on my virtual Reiki table or in my practice and they're going through this massive life change or life shift, I'm always, of course, I'm going to meet them with a lot of love and empathy, but it's always like, hang on. You're like, hurricanes don't come to destroy, they come to give you an opportunity to rebuild. It's just when you're in the eye of it or you're the shortly thereafter, you're looking at all this messy rubble, but it's like, oh no, like if you give it a minute and you trust and you do the things you know you need in your heart you need to do, you can rebuild in a way that you never even thought possible.
Yeah. Everything. And one thing about a hurricane, the sun always comes out after the hurricane.
Yes, for sure.
Did you say virtual Reiki table?
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
tell me about that?
Yes. So that kind of blew my mind originally too when I got into it. Cause like, well, wait a minute. I've always gotten touch when I did receiving energy work. But the thing about any energy is it can transcend time, distance, and space. And so you actually don't need to be in front of someone to do that. And in fact, I find that it's more potent when I'm not working hands on with someone. And the reason why is because, first of all, there's a lot of people that I work on that do have meaningful trauma and they might not want to be touched. So touch is distracting. And as a practitioner, I'm always mindful of where my hands are. So let's say you're in front of me, my hand is always going to be on the table where I move. And I have to consciously think about that. But virtually, there's no touch. So that's not a distraction. It's accessible if someone has, a surgery or they have lack of mobility. You're not going to be distracted by any scents or any noises. And most importantly, you're calibrated to your environment and I'm calibrated to mine. So I have a sacred space in my household where I step in, I ground myself before I start a session, and I meet with someone virtually. So we talk about your intention. I invite them to turn their camera off. I work around the body and then I come back. And then I always ask them, hey, are you open to hearing what came through? Because I actually braid in pendulum work, mediumship, intuitive downloads, health and wellness advice. Because again, if I'm over someone's liver, yes, anger and resentment can sit there, but I might pick up, hey, it's actually, I think you're actually consuming a little bit more alcohol than you're than you really are willing to like appreciate how much you're drinking. And you kind of see the face change like, ooh, yeah, I guess I am. So sometimes it's something like that, or, it can be, ooh, I think you got away from doing your green smoothies in the morning and I think that would be better for you. So it's just such a beautiful thing. And but to answer your question, you don't need to be in front of. I've worked with people from California to Florida to New York, all over.
Wow. You said something about space and time that you don't that's how why it works. And I just heard this newest thing. Well, not newest, but I heard Deepak Chopra on I think it's called Know Thyself podcast. And I never heard this take on it. And it's funny because I'm actually reading Eckhart Tolle book right now, The New Earth, but his other book, A Power of Now, and it's all about the present moment. So then Deepak goes into this thing about there is no such thing as the present moment because the second I say moment, it's gone. And I was like, well, he goes in way deeper and way more stuff. This episode was amazing, but it was all about consciousness and just all the different levels between desire, thought, feeling, emotion, and just like, whoa. But when you're talking about that, it kind of reminded me of that because we always hear the present moment. We need to get in the present moment. And then it's like, it's actually gone already by the time you got there. So there's
I
no
love that because
time.
what
It's
I'm
just
hearing, yeah, it's interesting because a lot of hearing is like radical presence. And you're right, we can't do anything about yesterday or today, but all we have is this moment. And it's something we don't have to do. We get to appreciate it. That's always what I like to bring people back is everything can be an opportunity. And we're all here on Earth School and everything's a lesson. So, when I work with people, sometimes like there are a lot of shame around like, ooh, I really just overdid it on the sugar or ooh, like I shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, or I have to food prep. It's like, no, you get to. Like everything is such a gorgeous opportunity. And I love that. And I love that you've come back to this like radical presence because that's what connects us all.
yeah, for sure. I always hear moms like, "Oh, I have to go pick up my kid. I have to drive my kid to hockey." And I'm always in my head, I'm always like, "I get to do this." It's like, how many people wish they could do that and they can't?
It's
Uh,
so true. It's so true.
So maybe the functional side, we'll go back to energy because I love it, but the functional side. So I heard you talking about sending people, oh my God, I'm gonna mess this up, but like different types of labs, not the regular one, because so can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for asking. So, what the difference with a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and a doctor is I'm not looking to treat or diagnose anything specifically. What I'm looking to do is look at the body holistically and look at what's going on with your hormones. How's your immune system performing? How is your digestion? What is detoxification pathways doing? How's your energy production and nervous system? So I'm looking at all of those and then putting that together with the functional labs that I'll talk about in a minute with the intake form, and I'm forming an impression. I'm looking at different clues that the body is expressing. And of course, what the person in front of me is telling me. Then I'm looking at a very tight range. So if you go into, a doctor's office here, you're going to get a range and it's anybody and everybody who's walked into the lab and you're going to find an average. But I do not want anybody coming into my practice for average. Average here where we are is not doing so great. I want to optimize health. And so the ranges that I'm looking for are much tighter. And so when I have someone walk into my practice, I'll hear things like, well, I had my stress and hormones ran and they said it was normal. Or, I had a gut test run, and they said the inflammation was normal. And then when I run different tests that go deeper, I'm like, no, this isn't normal. But that's okay because we have an opportunity to fix it. But you should see the emotional responses like, oh my God, I'm not being like, oh, thank God I'm not being gaslit. Or this, there is a reason why I don't feel great. That is so validating for people. And then moreover, it's like, okay, well, yes, the labs say this. Let's look at everything else too. And then we kind of go back and we look at what's the nutrition? How are you sleeping? How are you exercise? What's your stress reduction? What's your energy doing? And then we kind of put that all together because supplements do matter. I use them a lot in my practice. I use the labs, but it's really that 360-degree view of someone's health that really matters because you're not just a piece of paper. And that's why I'm braiding that in with your intake call, how you're expressing, and all the other things that I just mentioned.
Yeah, right. Who wants to be normal anyway, right?
Exactly. Why be normal when you can be extraordinary?
On my Apple Watch, like when I'm sleeping, or sometimes I'll wake up and it'll be like emergency, like this yellow, like flashing thing. And it's like your heart rate's at 38. And it's because, like, for a normal person who's not healthy, probably that's no good. But mine's like that because I've trained my heart that way. And I know it's from fitness, it's not from that. But it's just funny because like you're looking at that warning, and that warning has nothing to do with me. It has to do with a bunch of other people I'm never going to meet and the average across the masses, right?
That's a very important point because you said it's normal for me. And that's why we have to look at not just the piece of paper, but the person in front of us. How is your body communicating? Because again, the body doesn't have a voice. It only is going to express symptoms when it's unhappy. So if you're telling me I feel great here, then I need to listen to that and not force you into a lab rage. So I love that you brought that up because that goes back into like, are we actually in touch with our body? Are we listening when it's expressing itself? Or are we getting frustrated and trying to beat it into this norm that just doesn't work for us?
Yeah, I love it. I'm wondering now about how do you integrate this science, this maybe not spirituality, the functional medicine into like a Reiki practice or the other way around? Do you bring Reiki in once you see those labs? How does that look?
That's always up to the individual. So the way I've built out my practice, there's four ways to enter my world. Some choose to strictly work with me on Reiki. And then I have a package where I'm walking hand in hand. We're doing a few sessions. We have text and voice message support in between to help you really integrate your experience, help you understand what came through. And then some of my functional health programs, Energy Alchemy, for example, that's my most popular program that combines nutrition, lifestyle, mindset upgrades with functional labs and supplements, and a few sessions of Reiki and spirituality coaching. And that's where people make quantum leaps in their health, in body, mind, and spirit. And then there are some people who choose to just add it on because they're not quite ready and they get a little bit more curious, and that's always an option. But again, that goes back to like lovingly meeting people where they're at and not forcing them into something that they're not calibrated to or ready to. And that's totally fine.
That's awesome. Energy alchemy, you call it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I like it. And then
Thank
text
you.
voice support, that's important in the meantime, in between seeing each other. And because especially for someone going through this brand new, or it's a big change, right? It's a huge shift. It could be scary if you don't know what's going on. For myself, I don't know, you call it a spiritual awakening or a midlife crisis, whatever you want. But all this energy started trying to come up and like release, right? And I was just
Yes.
I was choking it back down, and it was not pleasant, but I didn't know what was happening. And then once I found out, I was like, oh, you have to just like let go of it and breathe it out. And then, so at the beginning, it's a lot. So I'm glad you have both sides of it. It's crazy how fast it can change when you treat it right. Just switching in maybe prescription medications that aren't working or helpful for vitamins and supplements, and boom, in a week you could see a difference.
It's so true.
You said earlier sleep, you mentioned, you talked about smoothies and all these things that we need to do, and not just women, men too, to take care of ourselves, to be an optimal human that you can be. We can optimize our body, upregulate, downregulate genes. So I'm wondering, for me, I'll say sleep is the most important, but is there a list you have that you personally do, or do you find that there's certain ones that are more important than others as far as food, exercise, sleep? I know they're all important.
That's a great question. And I probably won't be very fun here for my response. But again, I think it's that 360-degree view because you can eat really well, but if you're sleeping 3 hours, good luck showing up with patience, kindness, and love. You can sleep really good, but if you're eating takeaway, good luck recovering from your workout. And so life is always going to give and take. And do you need to be 100% for each one of these? No, of course not. But if you are coming from a place of radical self-love and you can think like, okay, I know I'm going to be on the road. I know I'm not going to have access to the most nutritious food. I'm going to make the best choices and I'm really going to lean into sleep during this time. Or, like, that your sleep is disrupted because maybe you just had a baby and you know that you can't do that realistically because you have to be up, but I'm going to lean more into nutrition. And so it's again meeting your body where you're at, meeting where you are in your life stage, and just honoring that and just like practicing gratitude for what you do get right. And if there's an area where it just needs a little bit of attention or love, like bring love and curiosity to that. Like, I wonder why I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, well, I can see that I was on my phone too much on Instagram, or, I didn't do some deep breath work before. Okay, like maybe make that adjustment the next day.
All right, that's a really good answer. So all of the things you need to try to improve your life that will help: sleep, smoothies, rest, digestion, having fun, meditating, journaling, nature, all of these things are going to combine. And the more you can do, the more you're going to raise your own game. I think I would like to talk about gut health a little bit. And I don't know how much you know about like polyvagal theory, vagus nerve, gut brain axis, but if you want to include that as well. But where I first was thinking gut health was more just, I think you said something back there about the liver, and I'm thinking about all these organs and how we just think it's up here, but it's definitely
Mm.
not.
Yeah, I love that you made that connection. Thank you. So you're right. The gut is a central player in our health, and that's why there is a gut-brain axis, a gut-skin axis, because it's housing our immune system, and it does have this communication highway with the body. But it doesn't work independently. Whatever you do to your liver, you do to your gut. But I would say if you are looking at your health and you're making choices like, will my gut love this or will it not love this? You're going to make better choices. So, for example, like the gut loves a wide variety of whole, real food. So think about getting a variety of plants in your diet. So like thinking about adding herbs and seasonings, or, instead of just going for the pasta as the base, maybe you use, you know, you get greens and you use that as a base, or you use spaghetti squash as the base, or you spiralize zucchini or something like that. So always just kind of thinking about like, how can I expand the variety of food that's going into my gut first and foremost? What it doesn't love is, too much synthetics. So I'm thinking artificial flavoring, artificial coloring. Doesn't love sugar as much as we all love sugar. Stress is very damaging to the gut, which is a reason why I got into Reiki. I know I mentioned that, cortisol was a big issue, but cortisol has downstream effects that really don't jive well with the gut. So, you know, I would say hydration is also super important as well.
All right, hydration. There's another one for sure. So cortisol, it doesn't help drive with the gut. So whenever we're in constant stress, the blood is flowing to the arms and legs because we might have to still run from a tiger, even if the tiger's our boss or someone in our community. But if
Mhm.
we can lower the cortisol levels, then the blood flow comes back better to our organs, our body, everything moves better. And then we're in again, a more optimal state, I think.
Absolutely.
Supplements, I want to talk about a little bit, and it's a weird one because obviously it's dependent on to the individual. However, we hear things like everybody's lacking in magnesium. So, can you share something about supplements?
Yes. So to your point, everyone is bio individual. And I do think that people tend to run low on magnesium because we're, again, a couple things. The soil is depleted. It's not what used to be. So for us to get the same nutrition as our grandfather or grandmother, we'd have to eat 8 apples instead of just the one that they needed. So that's part of the reason. Another reason is we've gotten into this culture where we want immediacy. And so instead of spending a couple hours on Sunday food prepping and nourishing ourselves, we're leaning towards the takeout. So that's part of it. And then the chronic stress that we're under depletes our minerals at a rapid pace. So that is a huge concern. So with that being said, um, yes, we need it, but I'm always going to look at nutrition first. And then, going back to that, I do partner with a company that has a full spectrum product, and it has all of the trace minerals in the exact form that Mother Nature intended, and it goes right into the cell wall. Because instead of just the slingshot approach where it's like, okay, everyone's deficient in magnesium. Well, if I run a hair and mineral tissue analysis and I see magnesium and calcium are way off the chart, that means it's not getting into the cell wall. So now you're taking magnesium and you're asking your liver to detoxify something that it can't, it's already backed up doing. So yes, we need them, but again, going back to if you don't have availability to test, lean into eating a wide variety of whole real foods and then trying your best to um, reduce your stress, hydrate, all those things as well. And my little plug here for the company that I partner with is Beam Minerals. It's full spectrum, and they also have fulvic and humic minerals that detoxify the cells at a cellular level. So they're pulling out nanoplastics, bisulfite, um, nanoplastics. So that's the product that I'm on that I would say is safe for everyone to use.
This is so interesting. So, I'm when you're saying at the very end about nanoplastics pulling, I'm thinking of like carbon.
Mhm.
Sorry, charcoal. How like if you put charcoal through your body, it will pull all those crap out of your body. But then there's uh earlier you were saying one, I forget already because I went to the nanoplastics. Uh, it's okay. Um oh, okay. So all those ones you're saying you're not actually getting them. You're taking this food in, but your body's not actually doing what it wants and needs to do with it because of the cell walls. Is anything like this has to do with or will improve if you, let's say, eat more fiber or more green vegetables to pull
So
those
that
minerals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So your digestion is really just how well are you breaking down food? So that is why I would run something like a GI map, and I would be able to say, do you have, how are your enzymes looking? How is your ability to break down fat? Are you actually assimilating the nutrients? how well you're excreting toxins, because that really, your gut is going to drive how well that you're doing that. But what I see, what I was mentioning before about the minerals specifically, is sometimes the minerals aren't getting into the cell wall because A, we're dehydrated. And it's kind of like, if you're dehydrated constantly, just to give you an image, it's like having a dry sponge and throwing water at it. Like the water doesn't even go into a dry sponge. So that's why hydration is so important. And that's why, again, I'm always going back to like the basics. But going back to the gut, if your gut is strong, then whenever you're eating, it should be able to pull out those nutrients. And absolutely, JP, like you calling out fiber, that's definitely, I have so many people that come to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm eating so much protein and I'm not losing weight, or I don't eat carbs and I'm not losing weight. We have to move away from villainizing certain food groups. Like, let's come back to what does Mother Nature give us, and let's lean into that, because carbs inherently aren't evil. Protein isn't inherently more superior. What we have found is we've created this culture, and depending on your age group, you might have grown up with Atkins, or you might have grown up with South Beach, or there's just too many diet trends that circle in 30 years. But what never goes out of style is eating a whole real food, because there's a world of difference between having an apple and an applesauce that's sitting on the shelf at, your local grocer. So that's what I always encourage. And fiber is so important because it's going to pull everything out. It's going to nourish you. And fiber is found in whole real foods, plants. And we need a variety of that. And that is absolutely how you nourish the gut. And as a bonus, like the cruciferous vegetables, like your broccoli, your cauliflower, bok choy, those also have amazing vitamins and minerals that are also going to nourish the liver, which the liver has over 200 functions in the body. And detoxification is a main player. And we're always detoxifying. It's not like when I say to clients, like, hey, what do you think about detox? It's like, well, I went on a juice cleanse. It's like, no. We're detoxing every single minute, every single day. So that the liver, we definitely want to love on and avoid things that harm it.
Yeah. When I think of like the food thing, like God, you believe in God or not, source, universe, whatever, but like all those whole foods, like it's there. We don't need anything from the shelf. It's all there. And even if you include the colors of the rainbow, like anything that grows in nature, that's it. You don't need it. Like God made it like that so that you could live and be fully nourished and happy and healthy.
Absolutely.
All right, ask everyone this question. This is the Phase 4 podcast, and Phase 4 in the 6 phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani is all about creating a future 3 years out. So where is Kristin, Sitek, 3 years from today?
I love that question. Thank you. I'd be curious to hear your answer too. So get ready. I'm going to throw that back to you. But I actually have a vision of working with high impact people to where, my role would be more of an energy alchemist for them, because they have a downstream effect. So by working one-on-one with people or running large organizations that are managing 5, 10, 15,000 people, if they're heart-led and they're coming from a really beautiful place of like love and gratitude, doesn't mean you can't use your strategy, but you can have a downstream effect of that. And that's something that really speaks to me right now. I also want to be offering group programs on a larger scale and just really breaking down some of these complex concepts that people get lost in, like gut health and hormone health, and like really what are some practical ways to do that. So just kind of expanding my reach that way would be super exciting to me. And how about you, JP? I would love to hear your vision.
Oh man, I'm definitely always thinking body, mind, spirit. So I try to have a bunch of different things for that. So just real quick, I would like to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which for my age means, no, I haven't done it. For my age, it means I got to finish in under 3 hours, 15 minutes, and I'm closer to 3:45, so we can get there. For mine, I wouldn't mind writing a couple more books. The podcast is nice. It's fun. For spirit, I help with mental health groups. So I facilitate groups for chronic pain, anxiety, and depression. And just the effect there, I would like to make that amplified. So actually everything I'm doing, I would like to amplify it. Even public speaking. I'm go to Toastmasters all the time. And one day I had this dream. I said, I want to be a motivational speaker. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I did know I had to get better at speaking. So I said, hey, I better join Toastmasters. After a year of listening to me speak, the guy who runs the Toastmasters goes, hey, you want to come and give a motivational speech to a group of business leaders in my community? I'm like, whoa,
Amazing.
right. So it doesn't matter the how part. I think Les Brown said that the how is none of your business. Your job is to dream. So thank you for asking that. And yeah, I think amplifying it, depending on who you're amplifying it with or speaking it out loud, it makes it help come to fruition a little more.
What I'm hearing is aligned action because I think some people will like, yes, I put it onto the universe and nothing has happened. But it's what you said was very profound. The how is none of your business. So it's waking up, realizing what is my sole purpose and taking aligned action and just trusting that it will unfold exactly how it should, exactly when it should. So exercising patience and trust and all along experiencing gratitude, like we were talking about earlier, having that radical presence and being so grateful for whatever's in front of you just changes your vibration and you're able to call in and be a magnet for that. And I think that's so exciting. And I love all of your goals. And when I said congrats about the marathon, I was just like, congratulations for taking a bold step. Like that's not easy to do. That's a huge feat. So I'm excited to see that journey unfold for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you know Joe Dispenza?
Of course.
Oh,
Not personally, but maybe one
I
day.
know. He just said something about the magnet. You just reminded me where he's like, you send out the energy, you send out the thought, and that's the electricity, right? You're sending it out, but then your emotion will pull it and magnetize it back. So when I'm telling you that, when you're telling me both, I could see the smile on my face and your face when we're telling each other what we want. That's the energy getting sent out. But because of that emotion that's attached to that future vision, it has a more likelihood of pulling it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And our emotions and our beliefs always drive our behavior. So it's important to check in on how you're feeling and what are you thinking. And if it's not a very high vibrational thing, it's we have to quickly alchemize that. So it's not about bypassing that emotion, but quickly honoring that because a lot of times it'll come up simply to protect us. Um, and that's okay. We just want to write down like an incrementally better thought and change our vibration. So I love that you said that. That was amazing.
Yeah, I would love to add to that. So we have two types of thoughts, right? You have an intentional thought, like I got to make dinner at 6 o'clock. This is what I'm going to make. And then you have just thoughts that come up and arise, and you have no control over that. They are,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just happening, but we jump on those thoughts and we like think it's us or that's what we're supposed. And it's just, yeah, thoughts are a huge one, right? But let's
Absolutely.
so, as we begin to wind down, if this episode resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, and reach out to Kristin. Obviously, you can tell that she's multi talented, and it doesn't matter if you're the scientist or the spiritualist, she's got you covered. So, before I kind of ask my final questions here, is there something I didn't ask that maybe I should have asked?
Um, no, I guess the one thing that I'll say that I feel makes me distinctly different is I could hold a tremendous amount of space and I see it as an honor. And what I really love to be a part of is seeing radical transformations in a really short period of time and instilling confidence because I feel like so many people come to me and they're dejected because the doctor told them your labs are normal or this is just how it is or this is just perimenopause or what have you. And it doesn't have to be true. Like we get to write our own future. We get to play an active role in our own healing and health journey. And I'm here to hold a mirror back to your excellence and show you how it's possible. And when you're down, I'm here to pick you up. And when you need a little bit of encouragement or hyper energy, I got you. If you need a little bit of accountability, let's do that too. So um I really do believe that this is my life's work. I do feel like I was hand carved for this and it's my deepest honor and passion. And I can't believe I get to do this work every day. It's just, yeah, I mean, I just feel so fortunate and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's much better to wake up like that than it was when you were doing the sales circuit.
Yeah, that is so true.
I want everyone to know what Kristin just said. It's not just an idea, it's not just a thought. Like Kristin and I are both the proof and the evidence that this is like possible for anyone. So, yeah, definitely reach out. I think, oh, before I ask my final question, I always let the guests take it wherever they want. So if you have something to sell, sell it, a message of hope or inspiration, or if you want to mix it all together, take it away.
The message I would like to leave people is you are deserving of everything this planet has to offer. Um, And then as far as my programs, I'm doing a lot of one-on work right now. Energy Alchemy is my hottest program where I blend nutrition, lifestyle, mindset upgrades, along with functional labs, targeted supplements, and then blending the Reiki with all the other mediumship work that I do. But of course, if you just wanted the functional labs and supplements or the Reiki, that's available to you too. And you can find that on my website at KristinSitek.com, which JP, I hope you'll link to that because I know my name is creatively spelled sometimes, but I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook as well.
Ooh, so that was my final question. Where can people reach you? But maybe we should tell us something we don't know about you.
I love, as much as I love the spirituality, I still like to keep my competitive side active. So this morning I played basketball. I love to weightlift. So I will happily do my yoga practice, but I also love like heavy lifting, basketball, and oh, and a fun fact is I'm a twin. I have a twin brother.
Wow, very cool. So now we got the science of spirituality, but we also found a bit more of the fun, and we get to see a little bit more behind of what you do and who you are. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. And Kristin, thank you for this. This was amazing, and I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you, JP. Appreciate it.